Welcome to the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show. I'm Chris Emma, alongside my colleagues Jesse Pantusco and Jordan Cohn. Boys, I'm riding high this morning. My squad's up to first place, feeling good, so let's hand out some advice. We'll go with our waiver wire pickups, our stream team, and our stealthy starts. I'm going to start us off with a Chicago Bear, and this is one I was not quite expecting. I was on the fence about a little bit last week. It is Khalil Herbert, the rookie out of Virginia Tech. Look, I thought he could get an opportunity with David Montgomery going down. He led them in the backfield. 18 carries, more than Damian Williams, 16. He had 75 yards. And I don't know if it was one of those things the Bears were really expecting, but he earned it. Every run was tough. He had great vision, showcased what the Bears wanted, and really kind of inspired their belief. I think he's going to be their feature back for the next 3 or 4 weeks, however long David Montgomery's out. So that's my pick. I say go get Khalil Herbert. Jordan, who's your waiver wire pickup?
Well, it was a wasteland of running back injuries out there this week, and one of those was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And so I'm going to go with his foreseeable replacement, Darrel Williams, who's owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues, 8% of ESPN leagues. And yeah, another running back injury, another waiver wire emergence. I know that Jesse has one of those in store for us, spoiler alert. But Williams was someone who had already kind of carved out that role prior to week 5. He had 12 touches in week 4. And then CEH's injury is definitely going to vault him into a larger role. The MCL sprain should keep him out for at least a couple weeks. You can also, if you're really in trouble, look at Jerick McKinnon, who was the third string running back. He should get some more passing down work. He had 2 receptions in week 5. And so both of those guys are people to look out for. Williams is definitely the priority add, but if you're really in a jam, which, wouldn't be too unusual considering how many injuries have happened recently, then McKinnon is another person you can look at.
Good advice. Jesse, who do you want on the waiver wires this week?
Well, the Giants just can't catch a break right now. Not only have the G-men lost 4 of 5 to start the year, but their offense is running on absolute fumes right now with Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Kenny Golladay all injured in Sunday's loss to Dallas. That leaves journeyman Devontae Booker atop New York's backfield pecking order, vaulting into bell cow status for as long as Barkley is out. Early estimates have that at about 2 to 4 weeks. Booker saw 19 touches with Barkley hobbled Sunday and should see a similar workload going forward. I don't need to tell you how rare it is to find that kind of volume just sitting on the waiver wire. The 29-year-old wasn't all that impressive against Dallas, averaging just 2.6 yards per carry with a long gain of only 14 yards. But he did find the end zone twice and should be an active participant in the passing game with Golladay, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton all among New York's walking wounded. For a decimated Giants offense in desperate need of healthy bodies, Booker is a sight for sore eyes and a plug-and-play RB2 in fantasy.
That's a great pickup. Let's move on to our stream team. And Jesse, you have our quarterback. Who are you looking at this week?
Well, at this point, you have to feel bad for fans in London. We give them 2 games a year, and the best we can do is Jets-Falcons last week, followed by Jags-Dolphins this week. Seriously. Anyway, after some initial growing pains and plenty of behind-the-scenes drama involving Coach Urban Meyer, who amazingly was not the first coach to lose his job this year, Trevor Lawrence is finally looking like the player Jacksonville thought he'd be when they drafted him first overall back in April. The rookie has quietly completed 70% of his passes the past 2 weeks, while impressing as a ball carrier with 2 rushing scores over that span. As bad as they've been in the early going, the Jaguars stand a reasonable chance of ending their 20-game losing streak against the Dolphins, who have yielded an embarrassing 34.5 points per game since week 2. Despite their past success, Miami's Byron Jones and Xavier Howard have largely disappointed this year, ranking 62nd and 65th respectively in PFF's cornerback grades. Recent improvements, coupled with an inviting matchup against an anemic Miami defense that was burned for over 500 yards in last week's loss to Tampa, make Lawrence a sneaky Week 6 streamer, especially with 4 teams on bye.
All right. I have our stream team tight end. I'm going to go with Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. And look, we know that the Patriots like to mix in their tight ends within that offense. It has never been a matter of production with Hunter Henry. It's always been about the injuries. He's healthy right now, and I like to see recent trends. Last 2 weeks, 13 targets, 10 catches, 2 touchdowns. He's still rostered in just 47% of leagues. Pick up Hunter Henry. He's somebody who's going to get some opportunities against the Dallas Cowboys. Big matchup for him. I see Josh McDaniels getting him involved. Jordan, who is your stream team pickup?
Well, it's funny that you go with Henry for the stream team because I'm going to be going with the defense opposite him for my stream team defense. Not saying they both can't do well, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. And it's more so just a case of the Cowboys being a much improved defense this year. No, the Patriots aren't a great offense for fantasy purposes. They've actually been one of the 6 most generous in terms of how fantasy defenses have done against them. But the Cowboys have generated turnovers on over 20% of their opponents' drives with a league-high 10 interceptions. You can thank Trayvon Diggs for that. They've surrendered 117 points. Last year at this point, it had been 180 points. And so that's a huge improvement. That's thanks to Dan Quinn. That's thanks to guys like Diggs and Micah Parsons. And then, yeah, the Patriots they're not the most exciting offense. They're in the bottom 10 in both yards per pass attempt and yards per rush attempt. You just can't really see this team exploding for a lot of points. I'm sure the implied totals based on the spreads will show that once those are out there this week. And so, yeah, I like the Cowboys as a pretty solid streaming option this time around.
All right, let's finish out with our stealthy starts, and I'm going to stay on this New England-Dallas matchup. I'm going to go with another Patriot, Jakobi Meyers. He started in just 41% of Yahoo leagues. And look, he doesn't have the kind of sexy background where you say, oh, this is somebody I got to have in my team. He's put up kind of near wide receiver 2 type numbers. He's somebody you can really plug in there and get some volume out of. He's impressed, and that New England offense is starting to throw the ball a little bit more, getting more out of Mac Jones as that starting quarterback. Jakobi Meyers is somebody I'd keep an eye on. He's somebody I think you can plug in. Again, that Cowboys defense, they're playing better. Trevon Diggs cannot do it all, and I think the Patriots will be able to put up some points this weekend. So that is my stealthy start. Jordan, who's your stealthy start this week?
It's the best thing about fantasy football is that you're allowed to, disagree a little bit, and we'll see who comes out on top there. My stealthy start is Amon-Ra St. Brown, which kind of doubles as a waiver wire pickup. He's only owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, 4% of ESPN leagues, but I think he's pretty startable this week going up against the Bengals. I highlighted him back 6 weeks ago, which feels like a really long time, when we were first doing this show to kick off the season as my late round stealthy flyer, and he's starting to show a little bit about why. He's had two straight weeks of 8 targets. In that span, he has 13 catches for 135 yards. That makes him a top 30 receiver over the past 2 weeks, which is above guys like Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, CeeDee Lamb. The list goes on. Obviously, that might not be sustainable, but injuries are piling up at the skill positions in Detroit. He's emerging as Jared Goff's favorite target on the outside based on that target count. And the Bengals defense is one that doesn't particularly scare me. And so, yeah, I like what Amon-Ra St. Brown should be able to do in week 6 and going forward. You can keep him and see what develops.
I like that one. Jesse, finish this off. Who's your stealthy start this week?
Well, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but don't tell that to Bills receiver Emmanuel Sanders, who, believe it or not, has totaled the 10th most PPR points among fantasy receivers the past 3 weeks, even outscoring his teammate and last year's NFL receiving yards leader, Stephon Diggs. Sanders has averaged over 17 yards per catch with 4 touchdowns during that span, while emerging as Josh Allen's preferred deep threat. Smart route runner with more than enough speed to beat defenders one-on-one, the 34-year-old skill set is a near perfect match for Allen, who, depending on who you ask, may be the most accurate downfield passer in all of football. I don't see Sanders slowing down anytime soon, especially going against a woeful Tennessee secondary that's allowed the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this year. At this moment, Sanders is starting in only 25% of ESPN leagues. To quote Matthew McConaughey in Wolf of Wall Street, those are rookie numbers.
Week 6 of the season is here, boys. Good stuff. Enjoy the football this weekend. For Jesse Pantusco, Jordan Cohn, I'm Chris Emma. This is the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show.